Hey everybody, I'm Kyle Goethe from GoetheFilmReviews.com.
I'm Nick Palodichuk from the St. Paul Filmcast. Today we're going to talk about an obscure Irish movie that, I don't know, got some favorable reviews at the time, half and half.
Yeah, it's definitely like I was mentioning to Nick before they started the episode.
Yeah.
There was a big run of both like Irish and British kind of gangstery movies in this late 2000s.
You're right.
time.
It kind of getting my bearings thinking about it, but
yeah,
right.
And they got real drowned out in each other. So I maybe heard the title before, but this was kind of a nitpick here where we were talking about films to celebrate Irishness. This is for St. Patrick's Day being in March.
For all the things about it, this is authentic Irish movie.
Definitely. So yeah. So today, we're going to be talking about Perrier's Bounty, starring Cillian Murphy and Brendan Gleeson. That's going to be today. Kyle and Nick here. Kyle and Nick on Film. Join us. All right, everyone, welcome back to Kyle and Nick on Film. Like I said, we're talking Perrier's Bounty.
Yeah.
Story of three thrown together characters, kind of, who are in a unfortunate circumstance of having to kill a henchman of a infamous gangster and having to be on the run for it.
I like that you use the phrase thrown in because it feels like the entire time they're throwing everything at you. It's a love story. It's a dark comedy. It's
a
action.
father-son tale.
It's a father-son tale. It's action. It's silly, but sometimes very nihilistic.
Yeah.
Very foreboding. So it's on everything at it, as well as not really all that happy of an ending.
Yeah, it's a real all over the place kind of story.
It's almost like they took paint and just let's throw everything out against the wall and see what happens.
Yeah. So Cillian Murphy stars in the film as Michael, who is kind of, like I said, thrown in with his father, Jim, played by Jim Broadbent.
I think this is actually perfect casting to put Cillian Murphy as this guy.
It's interesting. Yeah, I didn't think on the offset when I heard that they were father and son. I was like, oh, okay. But it does work really well.
Yeah.
Jim Broadbent, of course, who's most famous for Hot Fuzz and appearing in the Harry Potter films, and he's just been in everything, but you never really recognize him.
This one actually gets his turn to shine. I think this elevated his criteria. Yeah. Because he plays this guy that's either delusional, he's got some kind of mental...
It's a really interesting character backstory. Yeah. We don't get a lot of it, but what we do get is pretty interesting. I like that he's kind of under the belief that he's going to die if he ever falls asleep, which is it's not something... we've learned from Nightmare on Elm Street films, this is not something you can go on forever with. But he's also stuck with Brenda, played by Jodie Whittaker, who's, I believe, a next-door neighbor, going through some tough times. Possibly a breakup, kind of worried about her relationship. But, of course, Michael and her kind of have this will they, won't they thing.
It's a little bit of cliched.
Yeah.
It's a little play on the cliche of them. They're already in previous relationships, but they have some magnetism, charisma together.
Yeah. And so stuck together now, forced to flee the villainous Perrier, they're forced to reconcile what might be a relationship.
Yes.
Overall, my biggest thing about this film was tonally, I really had a lot of trouble investing myself into it because I really struggled trying to figure out if the film was trying to be more satirical, more parody-like, or if it was trying to take a more serious turn to it. There's some really great comedic sequences between Brendan Gleeson, who of course plays our villain, Darren Perrier, and Michael McElhatton, who plays Ivan, one of his henchmen. So Ivan's lover is the one that these three guys kill, but Brendan Gleeson's character, Darren, does not know that. And there's a great moment because you always think in these tough guy Irish movies that they're not going to be really accepting of other people. Yeah, there's got to be macho manliness, and they wouldn't accept gay people in their gangster crew. And Darren's not like that. He's very upset that he wasn't able to invest in his workers that way.
And it's set up, this scene is very simple where he's behind these painted glass windows, almost like a change of the persona of this character that usually... The chair is actually elevated. Yeah. So it's a weird setting to put it in, and the speech he gives, almost like they were changing the stereotype of this mobster character.
Yeah, and it's a scene I really like.
Yeah, it's framed and shot really well.
And then you look at another sequence Michael learning about his father's belief that he's going to die if he falls asleep, and kind of really reacting poorly to it. I don't want to be a part of this. I don't really this is stupid. Just grow up, be an adult, be a a human being that knows what's going on. And then immediately Jodie Whittaker's character comes in and wants to know all the details.
The thing I like about Jodie Whittaker's character, Brenda, she's in a bad relationship, but she's not damaged. She can handle herself. She's a strong, we say a strong female character. She doesn't have like puppy eyes. She actually can carry on the movie. In fact, she's in charge sometimes with what's going on.
But the way her character starts, I felt like she was like kind of playing to the damaged character,
right?
Because the whole reason that she has the gun that she uses to kill the henchman is she's going to kill herself because she thinks her boyfriend doesn't love her anymore. And so it starts out with her, and I'm like, oh man, like what a weird take. And then she kind of emerges as this really strong female character, which I really like to see. Yeah, exactly. There's some good action in the film too. I just feel like I didn't know if I was supposed to find something funny or silly or goofy.
Yeah.
It kind of reminded me of the film we talked about last week, Romeo is Bleeding, where I just couldn't reconcile the tone.
Right.
Yeah.
Tone is very right. If I have a big minus with this movie is it overuses so many themes that tone gets missed. Obviously, it's a very foreboding. There's not a bright day. Obviously, that's just nature in Ireland. But it's just everything is so dark and foreboding that sometimes when things are funny, you don't know if that's intentional. I do like how the gunfight starts. That's kind of funny.
Yeah, and there's again like some great interaction play. It just didn't really house itself in an engaging story. The writer of the film, Mark O'Rowe, I think it is. He called the style of the film cartoon naturalism, and that's something where like I understand. I think what he's trying to say with it. I don't think what his idea of what the film is what the finished film is.
Right.
There's a real disconnect in where the screenplay was to the finished film.
So I think he had a persona that this was going to be exaggerated realism. We're going to set the tone. This is maybe reality, but the language, the scenes are just going to be so outrageous that it's almost going to defy the law of physics. Yeah,
when to me it felt shot very much like it's intentionally supposed to be serious.
Yeah.
It's almost like a series director taking on a comedy script.
Yeah. So,
and I just felt that throughout the whole film. And like there were parts where I wanted to laugh, but then I was like, but is it supposed to be something I'm laughing at, or is it supposed to be something I'm feeling about there? But the film though, without its three main characters, I don't think you have a film. Like these three are the characters that I follow. I'm more interested in, even more so than Gleason's villainous character, who I don't think gets enough screen time to make him either funny, likable, or menacing evil.
That's the balance when you have a good character. You don't want too much or too little, and he gets too little.
He gets too little, because when he shows up, I keep likening him to another film he did right around that time, In Bruges, where he's the good guy, and he doesn't get enough time for me to feel the menacing quality. And it's again, he gets that scene where one of his henchmen thinks that he wouldn't accept him for being gay, and he's like, well, clearly I would. Like, I'm up on that stuff. I think he says
it might take away from the criticism of the movie that it came out too quickly right after In Bruges.
Yeah, where I think the characters are likened together a bit too much, and he doesn't get enough evil time to shine until near the end of the film, and even then he just doesn't get the punch.
Yeah.
But I really like the interplay between Cillian, Jim, and Jodie. I think these three actors were perfectly cast for the characters that they were to play in a way I would not have expected.
They seem to be bumbling, but it doesn't seem like everything is just by chance or they're lucky. But even though they're bumbling, they seem to be convincing us as viewers that they can able to handle the. What I mentioned is like Jim pulling the gun to the cops and all that stuff.
Yeah, they have very good strengths where the other ones have weaknesses character-wise, and I think that works really well for me. Was that they never felt like, and again, they felt too realistic to me, where they didn't match the exaggerated tone that the screenplay was going for. So. But another wonderful, great character actor performances laden throughout the film between, as I mentioned before, Michael McKellarton, Liam Cunningham, Conleth Hill, Brendan Coyle, who a lot of people will know from Downton Abbey, plays a very different character than the butler character he plays on that show. Lots of Game of Thrones performers throughout the film. So if you're a Game of Thrones fan, it's a good jump back from a couple years before. Just laden though with amazing character actor performances that really again elevate the material.
So at the time it came out, the only two people I knew were Brendan and Cillian. But now that you can go back, there's wonderful character actors that blossomed and have great careers that you can see them now in this movie, and you're like, oh, I know that person.
And it's fun to look back at those kinds of films because, of course, if the film was made today, you couldn't afford it, most of these actors, because they've made great turns and other things where they're recognizable enough that they can demand more money. And you can tell this film is a pretty low-budget film that's really just trying to take advantage of what it can.
Yeah. I do like the gaffing. I do like the cinematography. It's not edited all that fantastic. I think the dialogue gets a little more weighted. I think they try to exaggerate and be silly at times, and it just misses the mark occasionally. For kookiness, it does work real.
Like I said, the collection of scenes. If you watch just one of the scenes, and I were to tell you beforehand, it's kind of playing off of this idea, I think that would work. It just doesn't fit together right. And I think there are some editing choices that, again, it just never reconciles that tone. DP, Seamus DC, it has some great shots in there too. There's some really nice shots. Particularly, there's that one near the end of Jodie and Cillian embracing, surrounded by all these dog owners, and it's a really nice, sweet, tender moment. And it's juxtaposed against some really striking imagery that works really well for me. I also really like the score. David Holmes, who did the Ocean's 11 trilogy that came out this past decade.
Really?
It's a nice score. Doesn't match that in a way, so it's a very prolific kind of a score, but it matches, again, the tone that I felt the screenplay was going for. Overall, it's just there's just a mixture of those things that just never really goes together for me. I guess Nick, final thoughts on it? Do you recommend the film? Do you not recommend the film?
I do recommend the film. It's definitely a flawed film. There are some good scenes in there, but once again, be prepared. It's not going to go very smoothly. There are some pieces where it's fantastic and some pieces that get a little drawn out. I would just go back and look for the previous actors who were not as famous before and watch them now in this little cheap film. I do like the gunfight scene, and of course it's in the pool hall where everything's green, overlaid on green. That's a nice choice of green over green, and the guns and everything.
And the idea of them hiding behind a pool table, that's going to save them.
Right.
There's 10 of them in the room. They're going to find you.
So I got the joke. We're in Ireland, and the pool tables are green, and green on the sea of green and everything. So
for me, it's overall not a full recommendation. I think there are, again, elements of the film that I really enjoyed and really liked. But for me, too, it also felt like the first 20 minutes of the film were just getting to our inciting incident, and I don't think they captured and really took me in. And then you have the next half hour of the film where you get some good character interplay, but not a lot of plot, and then you jam a lot of plot in that last 30 minutes, too. Overall, I couldn't get myself into the film long enough to stay for a while. It's not a world that I really breathed in for too long. So overall, for me, not a big recommendation, but just kind of on the cusp, and just kind of I think the bad outweighs the good of it for me too much.
And that's what the main criticism I think everybody has of the film. It's just almost there for being phenomenal.
Yeah, definitely. So what did you guys think of the film? It's available online right now. You can rent it, you can buy it, you can check it out, and let us know your thoughts on it. Perrier's Bounty from 2009. Those are our thoughts on the film, so go ahead and like the video if you like this. Comment below what your thoughts are on the film as well. We'd be interested to hear, because it's one of those smaller niche films. You may not have had a chance to catch it, but it's definitely worth reminiscing on if this kind of genre catches you. Don't forget to subscribe as well. If you guys really enjoy these videos, you can check out more of those. Join us every single week when we post new episodes. And we got a link for the Patreon. Head on right down underneath this video right here. Click to join us. And you can help even select some of the films that we talk about on Kyle and Nick on Film. Nick, where can we find you?
I'll be hosting more episodes of the St. Paul Filmcast coming up in the future. You can find us on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, and of course Stitcher.
Perfect. And you can find all of my reviews on GoFilmReviews.com. You can follow me on Twitter at AlmightyGoatman, Instagram at AlmightyGoatman, or you can find that Facebook page, Go Film Reviews, on there as well. Thanks for joining us, guys.